Dear all brothers and sisters, Jai Bhim, Namo Buddhaya. Let me start the celebration first by reciting Dhamma Gatha. Manopubhagama Dhamma, Manosiddha Manomaya, Mansa Paduttena Bhasativa Karotiva, Tatam Namam Dukkha Manveti. Mansa Prasannena Bhasativa Karotiva, Tatam Namam Sukha Manveti, Kakam Mahato Padam. Mind is everything. Everything created is created in mind. If a person speaks with a defiled mind, then suffering follows him. If a person speaks with a pure mind, then happiness follows him. Just one shadow follows oneself. As we all know, today we have completed 58th session of Buddha and His Dhamma text, and we have completed 1 year for this session on 6th October. During this period, our master, Mr. Mangesh Dahiwale, hardly took two to three breaks only. Otherwise, he was very regular and serious about his session. So, to give his introduction, I will request Rakshita Rangari. Please give introduction of Mangesh. Pankaj?
Yeah. Just a minute. Huh?
Yeah.
You meant to say Samiksha or Rakshita?
Rakshita.
Okay.
Rakshita was going to introduce. She knows.
She knows.
Rucha. Yeah, Rucha has told yesterday.
Okay. I think there is some communication gap we left with here. What I understand is Rakshi doesn't have anything to introduce. It was just this thing.
I think
maybe we have any message to which can be passed on.
I think we can just keep it. It's not necessary.
No, Manish bhai, it needs, because it's very important. There are very unknown facts about you, which must be known to all the audiences.
Do you have his introduction, Pankaj?
Let me find it out. I will share with Rakshita ji. Meanwhile, can we proceed ahead with the aims and goals of our group?
Yeah, that will be better. Yeah,
I have his introduction. Let me read. No problem.
Okay. Alkudu, do you want to share with in a group VRG so that she can Rakshita ji can go through it?
Okay, I will share in virtual reading group.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pankaj, tell her to read.
Yes, Yes. तुला रीड करायला येते? त्यांनी पाठवलाय ते इंट्रोडक्शन विहारजी ग्रुपवर. एक हे घेऊन मी जॅकेट. Sorry. This is very classic example of miscommunication, which is not allowed in Buddha and His Dhamma. So, extremely sorry that I was not aware of this, and even Rakshita. So, sorry, Mangesh bhai.
No, don't worry, please. This is nothing. Please.
Yeah, maybe she is taking up. Tai, by that time, if you want.
Okay. Rucha, please
Rumi.
read and go through the aims and goals till Rakshita joins.
Okay, after
Rucha?
roles, she is.
Rucha? Okay, share them.
Sorry, my internet is acting up, but let me just tell me if my audio is not clear to you people. I will.
Audio is clear.
First of all, welcome all to this celebratory function of 1 year completion of Buddha and His Dhamma reading sessions. First of all, thank you, Mr. Mangesh Dahiwale, for conducting the classes regularly. And 1 year completion is not a small thing. The consistency with which you take the classes, it provides us the platform to elaborate the ideas, share the insights, and the discussion at the end provides the different insights of the other peoples, and it broadens our perspective and the understanding of the Buddha and his Dhamma. I want to thank Samiksha also because she gives regular alerts of the classes and the text which we are going to read next time. And the discussion with the Alka Talk and question and answer session, and each and every question and answer she tried to resolve. I thank you, Dr. Alka Dhoke. And Umesh Saroj, the question he brings up, these are very interesting and which broadens our view. At the beginning of the when we began our group, the aims of these groups were like the study of the Buddha and his Dhamma. Second goal was to understand Baba Sahib's idea about how to practice Buddhism and how to propagate Buddhism. Third, form the study groups devoted to the Buddha and his Dhamma. Fourth, develop a network of Buddhist Ambedkarite all over India. And fifth, work towards Baba Sahib's vision of Prabuddha Bharat by breaking all sorts of limitations of caste, language, gender, and region. We can, discuss about the progress which we have made within this 1 year. But to lay down the foundation, I just want all of us to go through the background story of Dr. Baba Sahib Ambedkar and the Buddha and his Dhamma. But we will carry it on after introduction of our master, Mr. Mangesh Dahiwale. Rakshita ji, please go ahead.
Namo Buddhaya, everyone. Let me congratulate all of you here for the completion of the 100 episodes of Buddha and His Dhamma and completing 1 year tenure with all of you practicing the same. Introducing Mangesh sir is really an honor for me, and reading all these unknown facts about Mangesh sir has already given me goosebumps. But here I would like to introduce a great personality, Mr. Mangesh Dahiwale. He is an eminent and inspirational personality. Mangesh Dahiwale sir is a well-known Buddhist scholar and social activities known for his work, not only in India, but internationally. He is working to propagate Baba Saheb's Dhamma and Baba Saheb's dream of Prabuddha Bharat. In fact, he is on a mission on Prabuddha world and working hard for it. Talking about his career, in 1998, he passed UPSC exam and served as an IAS officer for a few years. Later, he left his job for Baba Saheb's movement. He has been awarded many fellowships on international level, such as Republic of France Scholarship, Eminent Personalities of Future 2008. His professional and academic work is wide. In 2004, he was director of Jambudipa Trust, Pune. He's been associated with Nagarjuna Training Institute, NIT Nagpur. He is director of Manuski Advocacy Center, Pune. All these trusts are connected with Tri Ratna Buddhist community and they work on Baba Saheb's Dhamma and Baba Saheb's movement. Mangesh sir played an important role in fundraising NIT and Manuski Center. He strive hard to take forward civil rights movement in India to the international level. For that, he travels in different countries such as Taiwan, Japan, and US. He works diligently on caste-based atrocities and fight for women's rights through various channels and networks. He is executive member of International Network of Engaged Buddhism, whose headquarters is in Bangkok, Thailand. In 2012, Mangesh sir worked as a project director with BARTI, Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar Training and Research Institute. In 2009, he established Buddhist Business Network. Since 2017. He is a guest faculty in Indian Institute of Dalit Studies. He also worked as consultant in Buddhavanam project, launched by Telangana government. In 2013, he played an important role in designing the syllabus of socially engaged Buddhism, Department of Pali, Savitribai Phule University, Pune. He also taught for 1 year in same institute and served as visiting faculty till date. He delivers lecture on Buddhism and politics and Baba Saheb's Dhamma. Many of his research papers have been published on international platform. He is very much committed to the movement and writes regularly on the matter of caste and Baba Saheb's Dhamma. His writings are available on Google and his lectures are available on YouTube. Mangesh sir's contribution to Buddhist studies and Baba Saheb's movement is huge and he continues to inspire many through his commitment and work. Salute to such a great personality. And it's true, Mangesh sir is really inspiration. No doubt that if you are not seeing him and just listening to him, you will not want to stop him and you just want to grasp the knowledge he has all through. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to present his introduction. It's my pleasure. Thank you, Rucha and Alkatai.
Thank you, Rakshita,
Thank you.
for giving such a beautiful introduction of Mangesh. And now I request Rucha to give aims and goals of the session.
Am I audible to all? We have gone through the aims and goals of our groups. So let me go through the background story of the Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar and the Buddha and His Dhamma. So Baba Saheb has this marvelous commitment to write the Buddha and His Dhamma. Even with the deteriorated health, Baba Saheb wanted to finish off the Buddha and His Dhamma writings and wanted to get it published in his lifetime, as he believed that nobody else and only him could finish off what he started 5 years ago. This magnum opus took entire 5 years to complete during 1951 to 56 with his arduous study and research. The request to write BAHD, Buddha and His Dhamma. When Baba Saheb published the Buddha and the future of his religion, he received many requests to write such book. And in response to that, Baba Saheb started writing and studying Buddha Dhamma relentlessly, days and nights. hard editing. Mr. Nanak Chandra Tu, who was PA of Babasaheb Ambedkar, and he wrote the book named The Last Days of Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar. He elaborately stated what was the background and what were the things going on at the background while Babasaheb started writing Buddha and His Dhamma. Hard editing. When Babasaheb started writing the Buddha and His Dhamma, one must take into consideration that there were much hassle with the paging, repaging, numbering, and renumbering. For editing purpose, he had to cut the paper, literally the cut and write down the hard paper and paste. The notes were very large. After rigorous hard work, 4 press copies were printed and 50 copies with the title The Buddha and His Gospel were printed. On March 15, 1956, Babasaheb wrote preface by hand. The major concern was finance for publishing the book. Tata sanctioned 3,000 rupees for the same purpose. S.S. Rege was the supervisor for the printing in 1956. 2 copies handed down to Jawaharlal Nehru. Babasaheb asked Government of India to purchase the 500 copies of the books for the distribution among the libraries. But Nehru showed the helplessness and forwarded case to Dr. Krishnan, the president at that time.
जीवन कर रहा हूं, मैंने भूख लगी भाई. Sorry.
All 4 copies of manuscripts disappeared suddenly. Who's behind that and whose act was that and what was the motive behind such mischief is still unknown, but the government of Maharashtra gathered all the manuscripts via different sources and made it accessible to all. On November 1957, book was first published by People's Education Society without preface. This was after 1 year of Babasaheb's passing away. After printing, Babasaheb asked for the reviews. He sent some copies and the people from Japan also read it out, and they wanted to get converted into their own Japanese language. Babasaheb's honesty and presentation. Babasaheb clearly left the choice to the readers to judge the goodness of the book that the Buddha and His Dhamma has carried. And he doesn't claim any originality, referring him as just a compiler. He hoped that the reader will like the presentation with the simplicity and clarity the book bears. The book structure divided in 8 books, each book subdivided into chapters and verses and nikayas, but Babasaheb has styled whole text with proper numbering. So these were the background. Babasaheb was very particular about the number of lines to be printed in a single page, the printing structure and the symbol it bears, and this book was very near and dear to him. And if we compare, and the discussion was going on in today's reading session, Pali Tripitaka, the Buddha's life after he became Buddha is elaborated in Pali Tripitaka, but before when Buddha was Siddhartha Gautama and the Bodhisattva Siddhartha, Prince Siddhartha, the story of that which is accessible for the general public is included in Buddha and His Dhamma. We can further discuss the features of the Buddha and His Dhamma, but I would like to hear what features you all have discovered and what are the benefits you have discovered, or maybe when you first started reading the Buddha and His Dhamma, and what is the difference now that we are in Buddha and His Dhamma group and reading it together. So these 4-5 points, if you all want to share and express your views, I really welcome that. Thank you.
So thank you very much, Ruja, for giving such a detailed information. And this is the Tarjani Mudra. That means it is a warning or threat. That day in our class we understood that. To spread Buddhism, Babasaheb wanted 3 important things. To produce the Buddhist Bible, then to make changes in the organization, aims and objects of the Bhikkhu Sangha, and third, to set up a world Buddhist mission. We know that the Buddhist literature is very vast, and it is impossible for a common man to go through to study such a vast literature. So hence Baba Sahib wanted a handy gospel which can be carried everywhere, to be written, and it should be written in a language in which it is produced live. It must become an incantation instead of being read as narrative or an ethical exposition. And its style must be lucid, moving, and must be produced an hypnotic effect. So Baba Sahib was so much particular. He was taking so many efforts so that he wanted the book in very beautiful format and not as a ethical or in a theory form, but it should become an incantation. And when we start reading, studying this book, we experience all these things. So hence every Buddhist must read this Buddha and His Dhamma book. Now I open the session for all participants to express their views. Please start one by one. I think Sunanda Madam, Pankaj sir is our oldest member, and I think we should start with him. Pankaj, please.
Thank you, Dai. Thank you. Thank you, everyone who all are present and who are not present in this meeting today. What I understood, the objective of this is to express gratitude for Mangesh Bhai. And what I know, Mangesh Bhai is so selfless personality, and he gives, and he in turns expect the intelligence, nothing else. Such a personality, and getting associated with Mangesh Bhai was one of the best thing that happened in my life. It all started from virtual reading group, the pandemic, what to do, how to come close together. He formed a virtual reading group. People got associated with the group. But see, now I realize he has definitely in his mind to start that reading group is the fraction of liberty, equality, fraternity, and logic and rationality behind it, and ultimately humanity. He knew that. Let people read it, let intellectual people also read it, and then spread it across. So yes, we are meeting this objective, and definitely Mangesh Bhai for our society is a big pillar. He is communicating with international society. International society means other international people who follows Buddhism. He is connecting Dr. Ambedkar's thought with the Buddhism on an intellectual level, which is generally logically and rationally accepted. There is nothing to not accept, no? There is nothing to accept the logical and rational thoughts. We are born to accept it, and that is how he is conveying the messages of Dr. Ambedkar and Buddha to all general audiences. See, somewhere it is said that it is not, you have to go to Dhamma. Dhamma will not come to you. This definitely, this statement is very important. But Mangesh Bhai has taken one step ahead. He introduced Dhamma to everyone, and now he is asking us that also to do, to spread it. Such a lovely personality, such a charming personality, and such an honest and intelligent personality is among us. And let us take whatever knowledge he has, and let us give back his expectation to everyone. Thank you, Mangesh Bhai, for starting with the base, as honesty and humanity in your thinking. And with this, I thank all the members who are regular and who has attended or seen at least the recording what we are doing. It has definitely changed, the attitude, not only in social life but also in professional life. The way we speak, the way we react, the way we analyze the thing with Dr. Ambedkar thought in mind, and with Buddha's teaching at its principle of fraternity and metta. This definitely credit goes to Mangesh, no doubt in that. Thank you, everyone, and of course, thanks to all members, because our presence gave him the strength. Our presence gave him the things to do in better way. So everything is reciprocating in the world at the end of the day. So that is what I am expressing my views. Thank you once again. Over to you, Tai.
Yeah, thank you very much, Pankaj. Yeah, you rightly say. First time I experienced that an intellectual person like Mangesh is teaching Dhamma in very rational and scientific way. I had been to Nagpur working for so many years, but there was not a single person except the few our leaders like Bhavlo Khande and Pradeep Aglavesar, all those persons. But the common intellectual means persons like intellectual educated members are not teaching Dhamma like this. And the Dhamma they teach like traditional Dhamma. So I never used to join those groups. So when I joined Mangesh Dev session, then I was very happy. Now I request Dr. Sunil Devale sir to express his views. Sir, Dr. Sunil Devale.
Am I audible?
Yes. Yes.
Thank you, Alka madam. Actually, I joined this group quite late. That Alka madam has introduced me in this group when I was attending Shyam Tagde sir's lecture on full moon days. He normally conducts the series on full moon days. So during that time, Alka madam picked me up from that program and she introduced me. So I really thank Alka madam. The full credit goes to her. And because of her only, I came to know about this group. And I was not knowing much about this group because I was new. So first lecture I attended, which was delivered by Mangesh's brother. Incidentally, he also happens to be from the same district from where I came. I am a comparatively more villager. He's from that city like Bhandara. I am from Akot. So it is a quite remote village where even now also the bus also don't go there, ST bus. So it is and a person like me who came across with such an English speaking group, it was a great opportunity for me to learn, and that too they are teaching Buddha and His Dhamma. So it was a great opportunity for me also. And it is a great work that Mangesh like person, such an unassuming man who is doing this work and such a great intellectual. And he is teaching in a very lucid and in a very comprehensive manner that everybody can understand, even those who have learned like me, who have learned in a lower English. In villages I have learned from 5th standard. That is really lower English as compared to others who are from a convent educated background. So I found that the way in which Mangesh teaches is excellent. And he, due to this pandemic, we can say this pandemic has come as a blessing in disguise for everyone that during this period, they have started, many of our people have started these Zoom meetings. And with these Zoom meetings, this Dhamma has gone to each and every house of the Buddhist person. So Mangesh Dahiwale has given a great opportunity for everyone to learn, and he is also doing quite a good research work in Buddhism. So we take a lot of means we are getting a lot of opportunity to learn from such a learned personality. I also wish him all the best in his future endeavors. So with this, I thank you very much, madam.
Thank you, Dr. Sunil Devali. It is nothing like that. I come from village and from like that anything, but it is the knowledge and the views the person has that counts that is most important thing. I was in other national intellectual group. Mr. Mangesh was also there. Then in Corona, I used to ask where should I give the, how should I help my poor people of who were residing near my clinic in Worli area. And then I was very much worried. So he used to guide me, madam, do this and donate like this and that. And I used to take his guidance and help the people. Then I was intended to present a paper on coronavirus, because I am of the opinion that virus is alive and not dead, because at that time always saying that this virus, coronavirus, is dead, it is not live. So I had prepared one paper for that, and I was asking Mangesh, where should I send this? And then he added me to IIDF group. Likewise, the journey started, and then virtual reading session started, and then this PhD. Now I request Rahul Burde.
Yeah, Jai Bhim all. Thank you everyone for starting such a wonderful activity. And first, I would like to thank you, Mangesh sir, and also a great salute to him for starting such a informative session. And actually, when I means look behind, when I just try to retrospect our mission, and when we look at the whatever Alka ma'am has quoted the Baba Sahib word, that Baba Sahib said, how could this idea of spreading Buddhism be realized? 3 steps appear to be quite necessary. First, to produce a Buddhist Bible. Second, to make changes in the organization, aims and objectives of the Bhikshu Sangha. And third, to set up a world Buddhist mission. The first step actually Baba Sahib has already taken. He produced a Buddhist Bible. The second step, actually, I think this is not in our capacity to make changes in the organization, aims and objects of the Bhikshu Sangha. The third step is to set up a world Buddhist mission. So I think as we are reading this book in English, and there was no such authentic source of such an explanation available over internet anywhere throughout the globe, and that credit goes to Mangesh sir, and that is a permanent source actually he is creating, and that will definitely serve the generations to come. So that is a very historic work, I think, what he is doing. So that's what I wanted to convey. Another thing, just wanted to quote a few things regarding means our Dr. Ambedkar, that how he was devoted means towards society, towards Dhamma. Means for some years, about 5 to 6 years, I volunteered myself for the Baba Sahib work full time. without the professional jobs. So then I got some chance to collect some Baba Sahib's writing speeches, got time to handle and put them into the hands. Whatever papers he has written, I touched them. So I feel fortunate about that things. So one thing I wanted to quote here is that while looking at those papers, some diaries, even I saw the raw copies of the Buddha and his Dhammas. The papers, I had photographs with me where he has written some points and like that. But throughout the entire research and photographic and just having photographs of some diaries, I never find something he has written for his personal thing. So that was a very means that impressed me very much. His diary is also full of social things only, not a single personal things he has written in his diaries. And another thing is that he has founded the organization, the Buddhist Society of India. Unfortunately, till today, it didn't perform as it was expected. Means this is my personal view. Now some people are doing some good work, that is different thing, but it's nearly in 5 to 10 years back actually some activities are going, but the period was really the caravan what you wanted to go ahead is almost destroyed. And I think by conducting such functions, uh, we are doing a very a supportive work for whatever his dreams are. And we have enough material, we have enough uh, technology, whatever we can, whatever literature will we be needing in future and current, we all have it in our hands for the management and the life management. We have the eightfold path, that is also a big topic we can have for the personality development. I think there are a lot of things to do, and I think we at least in this group I find that the devotion the people are having is great. And especially the women are active, I can see the activeness of Alka ma'am, Rucha ma'am, Samiksha ma'am, and I can't quote names of all the persons, but that is a very good thing. Women were not taking participation before in any other religions as well. And there are I also had some plans and contribute in, but because of certain times I couldn't attend the classes regularly. That was because of some family matters and other things. But definitely I'm utilizing the YouTube recordings, and I think that is really helping me through the day-to-day life and just to repeating and understanding the things. Yeah, that's from my end. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Rahul. Yeah, you have mentioned very nicely everything. And I agree that Buddhist women are very much ahead in contributing the social and Dhamma activities. And as compared to women of other religions, they are following the Baba Sahib advice that women
Correct.
should the society development depends on the contribution of women. They should take the lead. So I think Buddhist women are very much contributing. This I experienced when that one PhD student had come for her fieldwork in India, Mumbai. So many women, and she has taken interview of those women. So it was really amazing and to see the contribution. Thank you. Then I request Sunanda madam.
Thank you, Anta madam. You have given me an opportunity to talk about Mangeshji. somebody has put me in this group. I don't know who has introduced me to this group, but I'm very thankful to that person whoever has put me in this group, because when I listened to the lecture, I was so impressed. Actually, Saturday morning is a difficult time for me. I am always in my clinic. I'm in the department. And many times it happens that I cannot listen all the lectures, but I make it a point that I make my patient to wait for some time and listen to his lectures. And if I'm not able to listen, I listen the recordings, and they are really so impressive. I had read Buddha and His Dhamma once, but I found it very difficult that many things I have not understood. But after when I listened to his lectures, it was made so easy to understand. Now I realize that it is really very easy and very important, which everyone should know about it, and everyone should understand the Buddha and His Dhamma. This book is like a Bible only for us. Everybody should preserve this and read again and again and try to understand this book. Geji is taking so much of efforts to explain so much in detail and word by word. This should reach to each and every person in the world, and they should understand Buddha and His Dhamma. Because whatever knowledge is compiled by the Baba Sahib Ambedkar, whatever details he has given, they are so important to understand and to know about it. So I really want to thank Mangesh for giving such a nice and wonderful lectures to us. And I will, one more thing I would like to say, that I was not knowing about his background and his intellectual level. Mangesh, I am elder to you by age, but by knowledge, I salute you, because you are much, much ahead of me and all of us. So I think you are blessed by the Baba Sahib Ambedkar both. And I'm sure that you will take this mission much, much higher, and it will reach to each and every individual of the Buddhist community, and not only Buddhist community, even other communities also, because Buddha has never differentiated in any religion or any caste. He always used to believe in humanity, and the same thing you are also doing it. So Buddha's word will reach up to each and every person who is not aware of the Buddha's teaching. So thank you so much, and giving wonderful lectures. We'll be really happy to listen to the further lectures also. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you very much, madam. You are joining right from your busy schedule. You are in the operation theater, it seems. Great. Great enthusiasm and interest and your devotion. And you are also a very knowledgeable person. The day you came for Mari Metsu, the interview at my home, at that time I realized that really I would like to keep your discourse in the Vihara sometime. Thank you very much.
Thank you, madam. Thank you so much. Yeah, actually, I have decided, not only me, but in the University of Mumbai, Pali department has given me a responsibility to start with the Buddhist counseling sessions. And very soon we have already started unofficially. Officially, we'll be starting the Buddhist counseling for the students of the Mumbai University and their families about their solving their problems and Buddha's way.
Yeah.
So it's a very good opportunity for us to help our community with the Buddha's teaching.
Great, great. You deserve that. Thank you very much. Now I request Dr. Anil Doke. Dr. Anil. I think he has gone somewhere. Rucha? Rucha?
Yeah, I would like to
Yeah,
share the.
yeah,
I
yes.
think he has joined.
Yeah, please go ahead, Anil Papa.
Yeah. Jai Bhim, everyone. Namo Buddhaya. It's a great occasion today. We have completed 1 year of the virtual reading group, the reading of the Buddha and Dhamma. I believe we have completed about 50 sessions. The sessions were very nicely conducted by Mangesh ji. Yes, Mangesh as a person was a very, very high achievements, a series of achievements, a lot many feathers to his cap, a scholar, widely traveled, and really a Buddhist in the true sense. Despite all his achievements of a very high stature, of very high caliber in terms of education and his contribution to the Buddhism and his his association with various institutions and universities. Despite all this, he is a very down-to-earth person. When I met him, a very marvelous person indeed. And he himself likes not to praise him, but I cannot avoid all this because it's every word that I learned about him in his profile is very true. And when I met him personally, I found him he's a really wonderful person, very down to earth. He will never make you feel that he's something very big person, a very normal person. When you meet him, a very good person indeed. Regarding, and he has been very regular and very particular in conducting the sessions of virtual reading. And he is the moving spirit and epitome of the one of the great exponents of the Buddhist, the Buddha and his Dhamma. He makes it a great and a very interesting reading. He infuses curiosity and enthusiasm, inspires a lot of interest. He expounded all these years, I mean, all this, in all this period, he has expounded the Buddha and his Dhamma in its greater depth and width, and satisfies the curiosity. And we, the readers, wanted to know more and more. And it's indeed, he understands and practices the Buddha and his Dhamma in his letter and spirit. And yes, we call ourselves an intellectual class of people, and he is our guiding spirit. The guiding spirit is the intelligent of the intellectual classes. So it's very important for us to move, to take our step, move a little ahead. And this is not just an pursuit of the intellectual discussion, but we have our duty before us. Because Baba Sahib has said about the intellectual class in his Annihilation of Caste. We have our responsibility to spread. Once we understand, we have clear ideas, and it's our duty to give a lead to the society. Baba Sahib has said in every country, the intellectual class is the most influential class. If not the governing class, the intellectual class is the class which can foresee. It's a class which can advise and give lead. In no other country does the mass of the people live the life of intelligent thought and action. It's largely imitative and follows the intellectual class. there is no exaggeration in saying that the entire destiny of a country depends upon its intellectual class. If the intellectual class is honest, independent, and disinterested, it can be trusted to take the initiative and give a proper lead when a crisis arises. So it's true that intellectual class by itself is no virtue. It's only a means, and the use of means depends upon the ends which an intellectual person pursues. An intellectual man can be a good man, but he can easily be a rogue. Similarly, an intellectual class may be a band of high-souled persons ready to help, ready to emancipate erring humanity, or it may easily be a gang of crooks or a body of advocates of a narrow clique from which it draws its support. So certainly we are an intellectual class set of good people, and we have a responsibility. So that way we should look upon it, because only just this should not merely be a pedantry. It should be our practice to follow the Buddha and his Dhamma in letter and spirit, and give a lead to the society, spread it to the society, and interact with our society as we understand more and more of this masterpiece, the Buddha and his Dhamma. For writing of the Buddha and his Dhamma, Baba Sahib has slog very hard. And in his days when he was sick, but he worked very, very hard and gave us this masterpiece, the Buddha and his Dhamma. And as he wanted to give it, present it in a very a readable book, like the Bible. So he had to write in such a way that the ideas are compressed. It is like a compressed. So we have to open it. It's much wider than what it is. The book is of this size, but the meaning is this much. So that is what the Mangesh is doing. He's doing a very extraordinary work, and he deserves all the credit. And we understand our responsibility as intelligent people to take a lead and spread the Dhamma, understand it, and spread the Dhamma to the society. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Anil. You joined our group late because of your busy schedule all the years, but you understood Mr. Mangesh very well and his work. You, Dr. Anil is my life partner, and he had never had any objection regarding my social and whatever work I was doing throughout my life in religious, educational, and social field. He always used to guide me also, and he encouraged me, although he could not do personally. And now I am happy that after retirement, he has also joined our mission. Thank you very much, Dr. Anil. Now, Rakshita is there. Pankaj?
Tai, she has to go down. She has
Okay.
some appointment, so she just went down. Yeah.
Yeah. Rucha?
If she came back, we'll just call her.
Yeah. Let her give vote of thanks. And Rucha, have you joined?
Alkodo, can you do? I'm charging my battery for a bit. You go ahead, then I will express afterwards yours views.
I think everybody, no one is left now.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I would like to share the benefits of reading Buddha and His Dhamma while drawing out the references for the Buddha and His Dhamma, because when one digs down deeper, it would have been very difficult, and it was so intellectual of Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar what to take and what not to take. So I will just mention the benefits. You people have already mentioned about the very good things about our master here. So I will just mention the benefits I experienced while going through and while studying the Buddha and his Dhamma. So it brings in a piece, the Dhammapad Gatha. Sahasampi che Gatha, Anatha Pada Samhita, Ekam Gatha Padam Seyo, Yang Sutva Upasammati. Meaning of this verse is, better than 1,000 meaningless verses is a single meaningful verse, hearing which brings you peace. Second thing I learned is like, this is the very special take of Ambedkarism, which is introduced in Buddha and his Dhamma, the concept of need to kill. And this was a special message by Baba Sahib to all the Indians to take stand and fight for the freedom for their own in defense. The speciality of Buddha and his Dhamma, 4 noble truths and the gospel of optimism. The Paul Chorus has written the gospel of the Buddha. There the noble truths have been perceived as the gospel of pessimism. But here, in contrast, Baba Sahib referred 4 noble truths as the gospel of optimism. The reason for Buddha's enunciation introduced in Buddha and his Dhamma is also another feature. While the traditional Pali canon didn't include the happenings in the lives of Prince Siddhartha, Baba Sahib dig it down and introduced the life of Buddha. One can witness the rationalistic approach over the reason for the renunciation of Bodhisattva Siddhartha with proper reasoning over the conflict over the Rohini river water. There is no place for God. Here, morality values. Morality takes place of God here in Buddhism. Then the beginning, which is the ultimate. Morality is the essence of Dhamma. Without it, there is no Dhamma. It does not require the sanction of God. It is not to please the God that man has to be moral. It is for his own good that the man has to love man. There are attacks on Brahmanisms, Buddha's opposition to the unsatisfactory tradition of the Vedas Pathan, and the source and the claim of the Brahasampapati as the supreme. Buddha is a human being. Baba Sahib always emphasized and projected and represented Buddha as a human being. Baba Sahib portrayed Buddha as ordinary man who taught the profound knowledge and teachings of the Dhamma and a way to solve the human sufferings. There are strong mentions of Yashodhara in whole Pali canon, even in the Therigatha, little bit mentions of Yashodhara, but Baba Sahib included it all in Buddha and his Dhamma. Even the Pali canon has negligible mentions of Yashodhara, but the Prince Siddhartha's wife, Baba Sahib included and portrayed the strong character of Yashodhara. Today, we discussed in our class identifying the Buddha Vachana. The Buddha's Dhamma delivers the social message and it's in favor for the individual's welfare and then the fellow beings' welfare, that is social welfare. Anything besides one's welfare is not to be considered as the words of the Buddha and can be later interpolations and interpretations added. Baba Sahib always opted not to include the miraculous events, even though it has been mentioned in the Pali canon. Just only reading is not Dhamma. Many of us are book lovers and we like to read, but we have to keep this in mind that reading is not the Dhamma, but implementation and daily acharan is more emphasized throughout the Buddha and his Dhamma. Compassion and consideration of Shudras and women. In Lohicha Sutta Pali translations, the meaning of Pali word parasa, in English others, is referred to as the Shudras and women by Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar. Passage states that now at the time Lohicha had the following harmful misconception. Should an ascetic or Brahman achieve some skillful quality, they ought not inform anyone else for what one can person do for another. But Babasaheb included and referred translated the others in English specifically as the woman and the Shudras. He put women before Shudras as we all know. His trials to make a difference in women's life was tremendous. After the Buddha in his mind, welfare of women was always on Baba Sahib's mind. The study of rise and fall of Hindu women and other BAWS speeches and writings clearly indicates that. The discussion on the rebirth, Baba Sahib dedicated the separate section and discussed on the rebirth at length, but he skipped and the repeated mentions in all other places. This clearly indicates that when one studies the Buddhism, it's wiser to take what is applicable here and now, rather than going into the depth which has not experienced yet or is beyond the experience of faculties. Rather than being caught up in false views and validations and discussions over the concepts of hell, Baba Sahib chose to just skip the part altogether and mainly focused on the end message here. It was the conduct and not caste shows a person's worth. Isugari Brahman claims that one deserves service and privilege depending on caste, but the Buddha counters that it is conduct, not caste, that show a person's worth. Whom to call an outcast definition has been elaborated brilliantly in Buddha and His Dhamma. The one who is irritable, rancorous, vicious, destructive, perverted in views, and deceitful, know ye that person as an outcast. The definition of death, which is the ultimate reality, we all are gonna face it, is described beautifully here. When this body loses three states, that is vitality, ayu, heat, ushma, consciousness, vijnana, it is then discarded, cast aside, lying like a lifeless log. Thank you for expressing your views here today. Rakshita ji, thank you for going through the introduction part of Mangesh sir, and thank you Alka Doc for doing and handling whole session today. Now I invite Mr. Mangesh Dahiwale to express his own views, and thank you for being patient and listening, because this day is contrast. Every time we listen to you, now you are the listener for the today for a change. So hopefully you have been patient. So I invite him.
Yeah, one thing I want to say that Rucha is also very much interested, knowledgeable girl in younger generation, and she stood first in Pali MA examination, and she never tells in group and nothing like that. But and she conducts Ashtashil Uposat in Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha group, and she is conducting all sessions in that group, and she is the leader, and she is very much devoted to Dhamma. So I am very
Congratulations.
thankful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mangesh.
Sadhu to all of you, and a lot more has been said about me, and I think we as the followers of Baba Sahib Ambedkar, we can take delight in each other's life, but I think we have to be little not so generous with putting somebody on any high pedestal, I think, and because that is one of the problems in the community, that people go high and some kind of the pride goes into their head and it causes a lot of issues. So I think the best thing for all of us, I think, is to appreciate each other's humanity, respect it, and revere it, and go on forward. I was thinking, I will just take 5 minutes to tie up a few things, because I think after having studied not so much, but quite a body of Buddhist books, and having traveled in the Buddhist countries, I often realize that why there is so much of confusion among the people, particularly in Buddhist countries, about the Buddhism, because I was it's then I realized the greatness of our own Babasaheb Ambedkar as to what he was trying to do, because Buddhism is vast, is big, and the traditional countries are I won't say going down, but there is not so much enthusiasm as we see in India. To be very honest with you, I think India is a country where Buddhism is more vibrant than anywhere else. And the kind of faith that people bring to Buddha, and this is because of Babasaheb Ambedkar. Millions and millions of people are into Buddhism because of Babasaheb Ambedkar. And I also saw another trend that a lot of people, when they interacted with Buddhist here, they thought they came up with some kind of a condescending view that we have to teach them Dhamma. We have to, educate them from wherever they are coming from. So I found this attitude very demeaning in a sense of, the follower of Babasaheb Ambedkar, as to, there is Babasaheb Ambedkar was and is the one of the greatest figures that in the history of Buddhism, because you see, the people like Rahul Sankirtan has said about Babasaheb like this, that if he was alive at the time of the Buddha, he would have been one of the leading disciples of the Buddha. Now, this statement coming from the greats like Rahul Sankirtan, it's not just a statement. It shows something, because Rahul Sankirtan was a renowned Buddhist scholar. He was a Pali scholar, Tibetan scholar, and whatnot. And if he's saying like this, that they have seen something in Babasaheb Ambedkar's life and works and thoughts, that they could make a statement like this. It's not a small statement. So people just look at Babasaheb Ambedkar as somebody who has brought people into Buddhism, but they don't see Babasaheb Ambedkar as the person who has so much to offer to Buddhism, so much to offer to world Buddhism, so much to offer to the traditional Buddhism, so much to offer to the revival of Buddhism, not just in India, but throughout the world, wherever it is. So this is what I found, and I was always thinking that Babasaheb Ambedkar has such a depth in his person, that even if we can feel little bit of that, that's enough for our community. So where can you find such a depth? So you can find, now Babasaheb is gone, but his life is still there. I'm sure that somebody who has seen Babasaheb Ambedkar is still alive in the world. So long as the last person who has seen Babasaheb Ambedkar remains alive in the world, we know that Babasaheb Ambedkar stands in somebody's memory. And his writing and speeches are of tremendous value. And why Buddha and His Dhamma? Because Buddha and His Dhamma is, Babasaheb Ambedkar is a very profound sort of a book, because he has, forget time, but his intelligence, his intelligence and his experience and his 40-year study of Buddhism is remarkable. And that was a time, it's not that that time the Buddhism was not, available for people. There were so many books coming up, so many people were writing, so many thought processes were going on around the world, and Babasaheb Ambedkar had seen that. He has interacted with the Buddhist, he has read the Buddhist books, and then ultimately, in his quest to, know the original thoughts of the Buddha, he has gone to the Pali text to the extent that he mastered the Pali language. Isn't it? So as Rahul was, saying about exploring the thoughts, my aim here is to, study for myself and appreciate this depth of Buddha and His Dhamma. And where can you do it best? When you teach in a class, or when you try to elaborate or express your ideas on what you are studying. So I look at this as I will tell you that I have read Buddha and Dhamma many times, because such a book that you come back to it again and again. And I am of the view that if you put the Buddha and his Dhamma at the center of the Buddhist movement in India, it will spread like anything. I'm not against any views or the school of thoughts that are going on communities. What I am for is understanding Baba Sahib's vision, understanding Baba Sahib's this depth of Buddhism. So in these classes, I expect myself to study more deeply and profoundly. Secondly, I would like to see some of the people who really make studying Buddha and his Dhamma as their lifetime's work, and we have examples that in our classes. Some of the people are not joined, but many of you have taken this task onto yourself, to study Buddha and his Dhamma. As Baba Ambedkar says that to preach and propagate Buddhism is the greatest service to the humanity. I would paraphrase that, and I will say that to study the Buddha and his Dhamma and preach it and propagate it is the greatest service that one can do to India, to the world, isn't it? But why people cannot appreciate it? Because nobody has gone and studied Buddha and his Dhamma vigorously. It's our duty as the follower of Baba Ambedkar to talk on the behalf of our father, to appreciate his ideas, to understand his ideas, and to expound, to spread his ideas, his vision, his mission. That's our duty. We cannot rely on anybody for the Buddhist understanding. We have the greatest source of the Buddha Dhamma within us, the light of the Buddha Dhamma, and that's Baba Sahib Ambedkar. Where can you find such an ideal, such an example, such a paragon of all the things good in the world? You cannot. So I would like, all of you, including me, to, go on studying, spreading, talking about the Buddha and his Dhamma all the time. People have been, particularly people who come from outside or, Buddhist, they think that Baba Ambedkar is a political figure. His Dhamma is political. And I pity their intelligence. I pity their comments. I pity their, sense of understanding. I truly do that. Why? Because you have not understood even the iota of what the Buddha Dhamma is. You have put it in some kind of a realm, so-called spiritual realm. So, according to them, Baba Ambedkar is spiritual. He's not spiritual, he's a political figure. He's a social worker. But if we look at the Buddha and his Dhamma, what can be more profoundly serviceable to humanity at this moment than the vision, than the mission in the Buddha and his Dhamma? So, coming to the classes, as Rahul has said, and I deeply appreciated what he said, because I have never thought that this exercise that we are doing is limited to our classes, which are attended by some odd number of people, and then it goes on YouTube, and then more than 150 people attend it. And I have been looking at the records. I'm very happy, even if one person studies it. I'm not looking at numbers. They will come. When we finish these 100 classes, they will be available on the YouTube, and many people will go to that for sure. Not today, tomorrow, maybe not tomorrow, a day after tomorrow, but definitely people are going to come to this. People are going to try to know what is Baba Sahib's vision on this and where they can go for that. The Buddha and his Dhamma. So this class has this very historical significance, as Rahul was saying. Why? As Baba Ambedkar has quoted one Buddhist poet, Bhavabhuti. Bhavabhuti was a great Buddhist poet. And a lot of people think that he was a Hindu poet, but no, his poetry is all about Buddhism. Most of it, at least, is about Buddhism. And he says, time is infinite. He says, time is infinite. And the earth is vast. There will be born a man who will appreciate what I say. So Baba Ambedkar is not worried about, people read it or not. He is sure that the time is infinite and the earth is vast. There will be somebody who will appreciate what I say. Isn't it? So likewise, so many problems we have, so much. But if you look at on the wider scale, what we are doing is really historical. And personally, I am very committed to finish the rest of the book. And then we can build up more on that. But the first thing first is we have to have the complete clarity of the Buddha and His Dhamma, at least a lot of clarity. Then we can structure the Buddhist movement around it. Isn't it? For the Buddhist movement to be very, because people are going, when people are entering into the stream of the Dhamma, their only door in India, as far as the majority is concerned, is going to be Baba Sahib Ambedkar. Today, there are Dalits or so-called untouchables. Tomorrow, there will be OBCs, tribals, women, all sort of people are going to enter into this. So when they enter, what is there for them is the Buddha and His Dhamma. The more clarity we create as a community around the Buddha and His Dhamma, the more Buddhist movement is going to go forward. Otherwise, it will get stuck from the denominations, which are coming out from the various, teachers and traditions that are frolicking around us. But there are only more people coming from outside, I tell you. Because as I told you, nowhere on this earth, the Buddhism or the Buddhist movement is so vibrant. That is there in India. Now it was Maharashtra. You go anywhere, you go Orissa, you go Madhya Pradesh, you go anywhere. So many thousands of people are coming into the Buddhist fold. Actually, when they say Jai Bhim, they are already, open to Buddhism. Isn't it? So the great possibility is there. And we have to prepare for that opportunity. And that preparation goes via more clarity and understanding of the Buddha and His Dhamma. So I put a lot of emphasis on reading Baba Sahib Ambedkar, on studying his mind. We can just connect with him because our fathers have seen him, our grandfathers have seen him. We can just handhold him if we go just a few years back. You see, so what I'm saying is that we have this live inspiration, and the book is a live mind of Baba Sahib Ambedkar. So my only hope is that let's continue to study. Don't worry about numbers. Don't worry about people joining the classes or not. I am committed even if one person is there, and even if nobody is there, I'm going to go and speak. Okay, so I expect all of you to make it a practice of reading the Buddha and His Dhamma. Appreciate it. If you want spiritual practices out of Buddha and His Dhamma, there are a lot of ways to construct that. But I'm going to do that. I'm going to construct a lot of this Buddhist practices. It's not. No, Buddha and His Dhamma is a beautiful ocean. We can take a deep, deeper deep, and you can bring a lot of words and offer to people. Now, Buddha is not a small person. He has influenced the course of our history. Isn't it? Look at Japan, Korea, Greece, and whatnot. Sri Lanka, Mongolia. So there is so much inside the Buddha and His Dhamma, and for community, we have to build these all structures, viharas, so-called practices, very clearly laid out by Baba Sahib Ambedkar. If we can explore a little bit deep, we can bring out so many aspects of it, so much of it. So we are all duty bound to study for ourselves the Buddha and His Dhamma, and at the same time, we are duty bound to, communicate, share with others our understanding. And I would like to request you all to wherever you are, you just go on doing it. Whatever you understand, just share with others. Like Alka Madam and Sunita Madam were discussing about the local vihars. Now the Buddha and His Dhamma is going to be a widely read book in the world. Let me tell you this. Because in the Buddha Vihar, what women do? They go to the vihar, they open up their Buddha and His Dhamma and read. Isn't it? Now you bring some explanation, some clarity to it, and you see the effect of it. Right? So that's what we are supposed to do. As Dr. Anil sir was saying, bring more clarity, bring more understanding, bring more light, so that people can see, the depth of the Buddha and His Dhamma, appreciate the mind of Baba Saheb Ambedkar. So I think that's what we are trying to do here, and I'm very grateful to all of you for making continuous efforts to make sense of the Buddha and His Dhamma, read it, share with it others, and I'm extremely happy and glad that some of you have really made it your life's mission to read, to preach, to propagate the Buddhism. And I think this is enough for today, and we will be carrying on for next, I reckon, another 50 classes. So, Jai Bhim to you all.
Jai Bhim.
Jai Bhim,
Thank
Jai
you
Bhim.
very much, Mangesh. We feel like listening as if it is a discourse, but of course it is not discourse, and it is our duty to spread Buddhism, and we should be committed for that. We would definitely, I think we should start taking classes in viharas, because people only read and whatever they understand and they go. But explanation and the Dhamma envisioned by Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar must be taught to them. And I have not read many books, many volumes of Baba Saheb writing and speeches like you, but I have been reading the Buddha and His Dhamma books since long. It is a multi-layered book, and whenever I start reading, I feel it is a new, and something new I'm extracting from it. And as far as knowledge, its concept, I always try to go in depth and understand and study. That is my mission, and we are very much thankful for the conducting the classes. Thank you very much. Pankaj, you want to give a vote of thanks?
Yes, why not? Vote of thanks will be very, very small word to say for what Mangesh Bhai and all our attendees have done. But yes, let us reciprocate Dhamma in our teaching, in our understanding, and in our learning. And I thank you all for regularly attending. If not, actually, we are going through the recordings. So thanks to everyone who is present, and special thank to Mangesh Bhai once again for the way he's committed to our community and to the humanity overall across the world. With this, I hand it over to you, Tai, to conclude it further. Thank you, everyone.
Buddha never asked to worship him. Even to his mother, he said not to worship him. Baba Saheb Ambedkar, Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar always wanted us to have the solid aims, and everything was a social uplifting message for Baba Saheb also. So the leaders like Mangesh sir, we have, and each and everyone among our group are doing something, but our classes which are going on, they should not be just only for this listening purpose, but there are takeaways from the sessions, and some of you are good at writing, some of you are good at expressing themselves with your words in audio format. Some are comfortable, like Pankaj Da is very good at making documentaries and videos. If if you want to propagate the Buddha and His Dhamma's teachings all over the world, then we must come up with these ways and with these mediums. It's high time. I think so by 100th session, We will meet, hopefully we will be meeting next time in 100 session to have the celebratory session. At the time, we will be having significant progress in terms of propagation of Buddha and his Dhamma. Thank you so much for joining in today. Yeah. And thank you, Mangesh, sir, for delivering the end of the speech. Yeah. Thank you all.
Thank you very much. And on this,
Yes, thanks everyone. Thank you.
on this day, we should take a Baba 7 minutes. Thank you.